All right, it did mute you, so Pratik, you may have to come off mute.
Yep, I'm back. Perfect. Yep. Thank you, Shelley. Welcome everyone to Tech Talk with Pratik. I'm your host, Pratik Patel, and I hope you're ready today because today's webinar is all about unlocking what's possible when infrastructure meets intelligence. Today, we're exploring the future of IT infrastructure, and there's no better partner to guide us than Lenovo ISG. From servers to build for performance, to storage designed to scale, and HCI that just simplifies everything. And of course, AI optimized infrastructure that's built for real world use cases. This session is packed with insight and opportunity. If you're a channel partner, MSP, VAR, or tech leader looking to level up your solution stack, this is your moment. Because today isn't just a product walkthrough, it's a conversation about what's next in IT. So no matter what your role is, you're going to walk away with actionable insights that you can use right away. And the best part, you've got an expert from Lenovo with us, ready to share game-changing insights, realistic use cases, and a glimpse into what's ahead from Lenovo ISG. So let's kick things off. Please join me in welcoming George Scarborough to our virtual stage.
Hey, Pratik. Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me. As Pratik said, George Scarborough here. I am the high volume server product manager for North America. So what that kind of entails, or how you can picture what high volume is our towers. So anywhere from the ST50 or 45 all the way up to the 650, as well as our 1U, 2U single socket and dual socket servers. So like an SR 630 and 650. Bear with me for a split second while I share my slides and get us going. And I'm going to give a quick run through on Lenovo in general from an ISG perspective, just in case anyone here isn't familiar with it. And then I'll start deep diving into our ISG products. So first and foremost, as I mentioned, just an overview of who Lenovo is. So we are a global company. We operate from the pocket to the cloud. We do business in 180 different markets. We have over 75,000 people, and we're represented with 18 different R&D locations across the globe. We're also extremely proud with our supply chain. We're number 10 ranked. We're up there with some heavy hitters, whether it's Cisco, Johnson & Johnson, Schneider, NVIDIA. As well as you can see Nike, BMW on that Gartner graph. So that's something that we also are extremely proud of, and it's big to Lenovo's identity is our ability to ship and move things worldwide. And part of that is because of this map right here, right? So you can see our research centers, manufacturing locations, company locations. We're across basically every time zone that you can imagine. You can see facilities in the United States, such as Chicago or Raleigh, the home office that I'm in right now, as well as out in California. And we even have production facilities here in the United States in Whitsett, just about an hour down the road. The other thing that we're extremely proud of in the ISG world, and we really love to stick our chest out about, is our world records. So we have 645 world records, and I'm pretty sure it changes daily, if not hourly. But you can see the breakdown there on where our processors, or which processors we use to achieve these world records. But the cool thing about this is, we've 6 times as many world records as anybody else, and if you combine the world records that everybody else has, they still don't have the same amount of world records we have. And then the other thing that we like to take pride in is our server reliability. So we're number 1 in server reliability for the past 10 years. So we're up near the top. You can see 315 milliseconds. And these are independent studies. This isn't anything that Lenovo manages or runs, or that we have a say in. So one thing I like to point out about Lenovo when it comes to studies like this is, you can see a couple of competitors down there, but you also don't see another big competitor in the market, even on this chart. So, that's one thing that we're extremely proudful of this and our security, which our security also is number one within the market as well. And that's been going on for 5 years. And so, we're able to pair a lot of those features and functionalities with our supercomputers and being able to increase our share in the market with our supercomputers, as well as leading the market. And a lot of people kind of wonder, okay, cool, congratulations, you build Ferraris for servers. Why does that matter? And it matters because we're able to take a lot of this innovation, a lot of this technology, and we're able to distill it and bring it into our general purpose servers, the everyday stuff that all of our partners love and all of our customers love. And we're able to take those things and bring it down a notch. And one of the things that's kind of been shared with me in the past is, think of it kind of like ABS. So originally was put into our Formula One cars, or Formula One, not our Formula One cars, but on cars. And now, every single car that we drive has ABS, and it'd be very scary if we didn't, right? And so that's kind of the same model that we have. We've taken that IBM focus and drive to have just fantastic products, as well as that ingenuity that Lenovo's always had, and paired them together to make sure that we're able to kind of lead the world in everything that we possibly can. And so, with that, when we distill it into a true server strategy, a lot of this is going to be solution focused. Again, we want it to be reliable and secure, and we want to be able to do everything from the edge to the cloud, at least on the server side, but then Lenovo writ large, right from the pocket to the cloud. And then lastly, innovation. We think of, at least from a ThinkPad perspective, we have the little red dot in the middle. Whereas with Lenovo on the ISG side, we're able to just countless amounts of technology and innovation that we've been able to add. And so now to get into the meat of it. So this shows you an overarching view of our portfolio from a server side. So we start with a general purpose server. So this is going to be your SMB, your large enterprise, your everyday use with loads of different applications. And then if we need to kind of get into GPU rich, or maybe geo-specific servers or things of that nature, and then, or OEM, we can also transcend and do those as well. So we're an extremely flexible and agile company, being able to kind of handle anything and everything that we have. And then lastly, we work with our key industry partners. There's some big names up here, whether it's AMD, whether it's Micron, whether it's Nutanix. So on the software and on the hardware side, we've got you covered. And so before I get into the actual portfolio, and as my colleague calls it, the picture of the kids, I want to give you the decoder ring, if you will, just so you'll kind of have that going forward and understand what you're looking at. So
coming in very cloudy. Obviously, this is not going to be a happy reunion, but the heat.
One thing about our rack servers is I think that was weather forecast in the back. So I'm sure that our rack servers can also help with the weather forecast. But so you can look from the SR going forward. So the S, the first alpha digit, is going to be for the server. The next one to be a rack, or if it was a tower, it would say ST. And then we get into the capability markers and the interline capability, and then last your processors. So 0 would be Intel, 5 would be AMD, and then 7 would be your NVIDIA. And then you can get into your generations and then the descriptors. So with that said, this is our picture of the kids. This is everything that ISG hangs their hat on from a server portfolio perspective. This is the meat and potatoes of our portfolio. So we have our towers, we have our entry-level stuff, as well as, a little bit beefier 2-socket ST650 that can do virtualization, VDI, all that. If you need a rack power, or if you need a rack server with a little bit more compute power, we're able to transcend up into that with our 1U and 2U Intel and AMD. And you can see the little Neptune direct water cooled logos on those. And then if you need multi-node with SD for dense, you can do that. We have Edge, so the SE 10, 30, 50, 70. Think of those as our IoT, which I've got a little teaser later for an addition on that. And then we beef up on those if you need to do a little bit more compute out at the edge. And then lastly, for our GPU rich, mission critical, all the super heavy hitters, we have this on the far right hand side where you're able to do multiple CPUs, multiple GPUs, just anything that you need for AI, machine learning, high performance, etc. And so This is, so you might have seen it on the previous slide, but this is our new baby. This is the near and dear to us all. This is the V4 for the Intel rack. So these are the 3 new V4s that we have. So it's the SR630 scaling all the way up to the SR650A. The A stands for accelerate. And one thing you might notice that's different if you've worked with Lenovo in the past is we have this lovely new little bezel. So cool thing about this bezel, especially with the increased power and performance and all these things that our servers are offering, this bezel is actually designed to reduce the power consumption or increase the efficiency of our servers. So they're able to do it by about 5%, which might not seem like a lot, but 5%, I'll take it better than no percent, right? And then for the SR650A, you'll notice it's going to be a little bit different. So it doesn't have that same bezel design, and the reason being is that we put all the PCIe slots up front. And the reason that for that is one, being able to access it. So if you need to access the 4 double wide GPUs or the 8 single wide GPUs or whatever you need, you can have it right up front. And as well as the fans are going to pull the air across the system, so it's able to do that. And now just from after, kind of looking at the looks of it to get into the speeds and feeds, if you will, or the specs. So these are going to have the Granite Rapids processors on them. We originally with the SR630 started out with the Sapphire Rapids. Those are going to be more of your transactional core processors, smaller cores, think kind of like a PC. And now we've transformed or moved or migrated into the Granite Rapids. So the Granite Rapids are going to cap out at about 86 cores. But the cool thing about that is that their consumption is going to be about 40% less than the V2s. And I know I'm throwing a lot of things out there with you, but there's just the V4s are super, super cool with the amount of ingenuity and all this that we've put into them. The other thing that I want to highlight about that is that the V4 is the first one to have xClarity, is that it's just 100% in-house. So it's 100% Lenovo or 100% Redfish by Lenovo, and it supports OpenBMC. And the reason this is big is that we don't have to worry about updates. It's going to be a lot more secure. There's going to be steadily updates to the BMC, and we don't have to worry about any third parties after that. So those are kind of some of the big things that we have. Again, I could rattle off all these things: the CXL memory, the increased speed, the increased performance, this, that, and the other. But again, this is the big ta-da of today is the V4 systems that we have recently launched. For everything else, this shows you the V3s that we have for the AMD, as well as the V2 and V3s that we have for the Intel. The one thing about the V2 and V3 Intels is that the V2 is going end of life in July, and then our V3 is going to go end of life at the end of this calendar year. So we are speeding up that timeline a little bit, but we felt that with the prices that we're seeing, kind of how the market is moving and things of that nature, it's better to go ahead and get in front of it, have what our customers are looking for, have what our customers want, and make sure that we're offering everything that we have. And then for our tower server portfolio, the other thing that we have recently added from a tower and rack perspective is the ST45V3. So this came out back in December 10th, I believe, is the exact date. And it is basically the like item for the ST50. So it's going to be a single processor server, single socket server that it goes all the way up to 12 cores. The interesting thing about this is it exceeds the core count for the ST50 and 250 while also having less TDP. So I think it sticks out or hits it like 65 watts, whereas the ST50 and 250, their Xeon E-class processors go up to 85, I believe. So has a little bit more core count, a little bit less energy consumption. And then the other thing is, just like our ST50, it's going to be super, super quiet. So if you need to stick it under a desk, set it and forget it. If you have an SMB customer that just needs that entry-level server with that 24/7 compute capability, that's going to be one of your best bets. And then transitioning on from that into kind of the sexier side of it with our HPC and AI compute lineup. So you can see a lot of these have our Neptune water cooling systems in it. So we go from the dense, the multi-node stuff. We also have the SR630 that I'd previously mentioned with the V4s. And if you need to get into the 2 sockets, you can, or the 2Us with the 650s, you can. And then scaling all the way up to even some of the 8Us and 8 sockets and things of that nature down in the bottom right-hand corner. So this just gives you an encapsulation of of where we are with our HPC and AI lineups coming into this calendar year, because as everybody is aware, AI. Most of our customers probably were not even seeing AI. We're probably not getting to a lot of these GPUs and things of that nature. But it's something that's probably always good to have, always just a little conversation piece to have up your sleeve, just if you need to talk about it, or if your customer is interested in it. And then the other thing is, this breaks down, so that previous slide takes it and kind of distills it a little bit further, just so that you can see, where we're at with whether it's liquid cooling training, multi-language, AI model training, etc. And the funny thing about this is, everybody always talks about these massive servers, and I love to see my little ST650 V3. So when I started out originally in the channel, one of my main focuses was increasing our tower sales. And so I always kind of like to see this almost, I don't want to call it a David and Goliath story, but I somewhat like to see our towers doing getting some representation out in the AI and HPC world. But again, this just gives you a quick little brief overview of where each one of them kind of falls, as well as you can see down in the bottom a lot of our GPUs that would align with them and work with our servers. And so, as mentioned on the previous couple of slides, you've probably seen Neptune, right? You've seen the little trident, you've seen the logo that we have. And so the fantastic thing about Neptune, not only is it available now in the SR630 and 650 with the direct water cooling or the liquid air cooling, but it's going to reduce the power. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're seeing here. I think that's probably, and I'm probably preaching to the choir on this one, but I think it's what a lot of you folks are seeing out there as well, is that power and the cost of utilities and all of these things, they're ever increasing. They're not going down anytime soon. And so we've got to find ingenious ways to combat that. And I was on a previous call with a partner earlier today, and I joked, but it was kind of, you're trying to out physics the physics, right? So at a certain point, you can only do so much. And I think that this is, we're the leader in this. We're the first ones to ever do this. And this shows, again, our ingenuity and our willingness to think outside the box on how to address a lot of these issues that we face every single day. And so from from how the technology family is broken up, we have the OG Neptune, which has a warm water inlet, 45 degrees Celsius, so that around, I guess, 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Please don't break out your calculators. We also have the Neptune Air, and then we have the Neptune Core. So that's going to be the most configurable out of all of them. And then the one thing that with this one and kind of our edge servers, when I talk about this, if you've ever spent time on Lenovo Press, or if you haven't spent time on Lenovo Press, I would highly recommend doing some research, just deep diving, spending a little bit of time, just kind of poking around and reading about it. Also, look at our customer success stories. These are just extremely cool products. Even if if you struggle to wrap your head around it, as I do at times, it is just something really neat to read about. Just how we've been able to use it out in the real world use cases. And getting Neptune out there. And like one of my favorites is there is a research university in Germany where they took this, and so the water that they were pumping out of it, they were able to somehow loop it into their radiators on campus, so that they were able to route the water from their data center to the radiators to also decrease their utility costs in that way. Obviously, most of our customers probably aren't going to set up an entire system like that, but shows kind of how cool it is that our data centers not only do a whole bunch of compute, but also keep students and faculty warm. So to get into the,
Oh, sorry, I did have a question. I should have asked this maybe like a couple slides ago, but it's going back to the SR630 V3 and the SR650 V3.
Yep.
You said that they're going to go end of life at the end of 2025. So do you know when the cutoff will be for requesting hardware warranty extensions?
Yep. So the warranties that we have are they last 5 years after our what we consider the last order day. So if you have say that you bought an SR650 V2 or V3, or we'll take a V2 since it ends in July. Say that you bought one, on July 31st, you would have 5 years after that for the life of the warranty. And if you bought it before that, say you bought it 2 years before that, you would have assume that you had a 5-year warranty on it, you would have 5 years plus the remaining 2 years or whatever that math is.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So sorry. So to get going from our servers or our rack servers to our edge. So, as mentioned previously, and kind of part of the whole shebang that we have is we have from the edge to the cloud, and this is kind of our the top notch for when it comes to our edge, and this shows you kind of where we're able to move and what we have. So, when you think of edge, it isn't just those, like I said, those IoT, the SE10s or the smaller ones. We also scale up to the larger ones that can do that compute. And then we can also pair them with a ton of validated solutions, loads of ISVs, and as well as having our services there. So you still get that reliability from our services team. From a data storage solutions portfolio, we have the ThinkSystem Enterprise Storage, which I'll go into detail a little bit more so later on. So we've got the DM, DG, and DE controllers, as well as storage networking and JBODs. And then if you need our hyperconverged infrastructure paired with Nutanix, Microsoft, or VMware, we're able to offer that, as well as software-defined solutions and our solution partners down below. And some of those solution partners will also transcend into our rack servers as well. So from a Think Agile portfolio, this shows you kind of who we offer, what we offer. And one thing that we've done within the past year-ish or so is it used to have these funky little prefixes for them, but now we've replicated it across. So kind of like I was showing you earlier with that decoder ring and with our servers. Say you offer get a VX, it'd say a VX 630 or a VX 650, and so that would follow that same form factor as you would if you were to have an SR. But with our Nutanix, VMware, and MX, we do offer the full portfolio, and then we also offer scale, which isn't included in our Think Agile portfolio, but we do offer LEAP benefits. So if you do have a deal registration and a quote that offers scale, I do want to mention that since we have loads of partners that love our LEAP points system. So if you want to throw scale in there as well, you can do that. But from a Think Agile perspective, these are the three that we offer. We are seeing, obviously, it's nothing new to anybody on this call, but with how VMware is done, if customers are capable of moving away, we have seen an uptick in our Nutanix. So that's something that, from a market perspective, we have seen is there is a shift if partners or if customers are capable and able and comfortable doing that. So if you have a customer that's maybe on the fence, we can definitely put you in contact as well with our Think Agile product managers to make sure that that we're getting you the best setup possible if you were to migrate away. And to kind of drill down a little bit further into that, so our integrated system versus ready nodes. That integrated system, I like to frame that as it's packaged nicely and has this nice little bow on top. So everything's been tested, whether it's the hardware, the firmware. You just have to wipe your hands clean of it. It's got the deployment tools. The services are included. Whereas your ready node, there's some risk that your customers are assuming. And there's not a whole lot of control on that. You're getting the bones of it, but then you're going to have to make sure that you provide all the software and everything else to go with it. So we've migrated more towards the integrated systems. That's what we prefer to offer. That's what we like to offer, just because, again, it's one of those things that we have. I don't want to say full control of, but it's something that we've fully vetted, just like the nodes, but it has everything, so your customer doesn't have to worry about it. And then the other thing with these Think Agile, and as I mentioned, kind of that wipe your hands and be clear with it. This shows you the 6 tenets, but I also want to bring forward, and I don't have this slide in here, but I don't know if anybody is aware, but we've recently partnered with Cisco. So if you have a Lenovo field rep and a customer that's looking to add some Cisco switches, it's the Nexus 9300 series. You can now get Cisco switches through Lenovo. So and they're fully tested, fully integrated. So whether it's SAP HANA, whether it's excuse me, whether it's anything that needed to be validated beforehand, you're able to do that seamlessly with Lenovo. And now that we've worked out the deals with Cisco, we're able to also offer it at a competitive price. And yes, Ahmad, see your hand up.
Sorry, I had to jump off mute. So when you're saying that you can get Cisco switches through Lenovo, is that pairing it with a Lenovo device, or is it just we can now get quoting and pricing for switches and accessory points through access points through Lenovo?
Great question. So it does have to be paired with a Lenovo device, and it has to. Ironically, we're also bringing it up on an Ingram talk, but because Ingram is our channel partner to help facilitate this. But yes, it does have to be paired with a Lenovo product, and it has to be 25% of the overall configuration. So you would still need your server or your storage or whatever you might be, purchasing with it. And then how the process would work is you would work with your Lenovo field rep if your customer has one, and then we will go through the CCW tool that Cisco has and make sure that that we get the hunting incentive, as they call it, and the quotes and all of that, and take care of it. And then what happens is that Cisco switch then goes to our production facility. We package it with everything else, so your full solution, and then we ship it directly to your customer door.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as mentioned, the 6 tenets of Think Agile, kind of like the previous slide where I mentioned we just have everything packaged nicely and, wipe your hands clean of it. So from the engineered solution all the way to that customer experience and customer support, we want this to be as seamless and as painless as possible for you and your customer. And so that's a lot of this drive towards this, using the SDI now out in the field. And so transitioning from SDI back to simplistic storage, or I don't want to call it simplistic storage, but just storage. We've grown tremendously, leaps and bounds. So we started off in 2015. You can kind of see where we had that Lenovo storage introduction, and we were down at the bottom. And now we've grown light years. We're number one in our price band, sub 25K. We're number two in the next price band. Overall we're huge. We've added DG storage. And a lot of this is to do with our Carpe Diem promotion. So another thing, if you aren't familiar with Lenovo's servers, is we have Carpe Diem, or Lenovo's ISG, is we have Carpe Diem promotion. So what that is if you have a DM or DG controller, you get 20% off of the price with a deal registration. So if you're using mission acquisition, or if you don't have mission acquisition, which I can talk about later as well, you can still get fantastic pricing on our DG and DM controllers. So that's also one thing that has been able to help us out tremendously, is putting money back into our partners' pockets while also having them go out and be our evangelizers for us having a fantastic storage portfolio. And so, as I mentioned, the DG and DM, we also bring up our DE. So you kind of go from left to right on entry to bigger. And the DG and DM, as mentioned, those are part of that Carpe Diem promotion. And they have the unified file block and object. The DG is all QLC, DM is NVMe drives. And so they're able to, support hybrid cloud management, a bunch of, they have an integrated ransomware, and this, that, and the other. So if you have a customer that's maybe looking at a DE 2000 or 4000, we also offer that. So any type of controller that you need, and then if you need to scale it up or scale it down, this kind of gives you a rough outline on what you can do. And then, as you can see on the far right hand side, we have the SDI if you want to converge it with your compute. From a D series, just from our directly attached storage, we also offer this. This is more more of our traditional up to high density storage boxes. And then last but not least, with our xClarity. So this is kind of what makes it hum, and what I'd originally mentioned with the V4s with our management system. So you start off down at the bottom with your xClarity controller. So this is in every ThinkSystem that we offer. It's a must that we offer into it. And then you kind of go up. So if you need media creators or scripting tools, or if you need centralized management, being able to do it on your phone, remote management, etc., you would have that with your xClarity administrator. And then after that, your xClarity integrators. And this has been a evolution. So we originally started out with IBM, and then Lenovo ISG was created 10-ish years ago. And so now we have that xClarity suite. And then we've also recently added xClarity One. So this is that, that hybrid cloud interface. This is where it says tomorrow, and we are still getting there. We're still improving it obviously daily, just like we improve all of our other products. But this is where we're headed. And this gives it there we go. This gives you a quick breakdown on what that xClarity One is if you aren't aware of it. So it has kind of everything that you need, the lifecycle management. It's going to be kind of a little bit more, it's going to be more secure, a little bit more flexible. It's going to be more intuitive. It's going to have the benchmarking for you. It's going to have self-healing and self-optimization. So this is what we want to do is we want to help have AI power this so that it also just alleviates a lot of the pain points, because it's kind of like our security and our reliability. It's stuff like this that the easier we can make your lives, the easier that you can make everybody else's lives, because obviously without partners, Lenovo is dead in the water. We can't do this without y'all. And so having a tool like this to help is only going to make your jobs easier, because if you do happen to get called out, we don't want you to have to get called out. We want you to be able to pull it up remotely, diagnose what's going to happen. If you've got to call services, you can call services, or you can just know what you're getting into when you get in the truck and head out to the site to work on it. So these are some of the things that we're working on to try to improve. And then lastly, we have this fantastic, if you've never been on there, Lenovo Press, I mentioned it earlier. This has everything that you would want. It has our drives portfolio. It has our product portfolio. It has 3D models of our servers. It has videos of our servers. So if you kind of want to, play around with it and expand them and look in to see what's happening and where the CPUs are connected and where the fans are connected, it has everything that you might possibly need, data sheets, etc. The list goes on and on and on. It's just lenovopress.com. It's just a wealth of knowledge. It's anything and everything that you can need. And then going from that, I'm kind of switching gears on you, but I know that this is the audience, and this is how we're going to take all of that stuff, and then we're going to kind of get a price out of it and get it shipped to you and your customers quickly. And so how we're going to do that is by using Top Choice. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Data Center Solution Configurator, or DCSC. But you can type in DCSC and it'll pull you straight up to this. And this is where you would configure everything, whether it's our networking switches, our storage, our servers, SDI, anything in between. And so Top Choice is offering it's a quick ship, lower price selection of our high volume configuration. So think your SR630 or 650, as well as our AMD. You can see the list down below. And what we've done is we've selected the options that we're seeing quite common in the channel or with our customers, and it's try to maybe 8 core, 12 core, 16 core, 24 core, as well as our common memory, our common drives, and common controllers and things of that nature. And we're making sure that we consistently have those so that we can drop them to ship in 2 weeks or less, and then offer advantageous pricing or attractive pricing to also help our partners out. So it's directly integrated into DCSC, so you don't really have to do anything differently. All of our Ingram solution architects also are well versed on this, so they are aware of how to use this. If you aren't comfortable building out your solutions, they can happily help you. And as I'd mentioned previously on the other slide, we do have better pricing. So people might call it vendor agnostic. It used to be called multi-vendor drives, but those are going to be 15% lower. And then also any processor that you use that's considered Top Choice, I like to call it our double deal reg. So you're going to get 8% lower than your deal reg price on top of that. And then right now, the current lead time, so you're looking at about 15 days. It's kind of like a skip, go, and collect $200 if anybody's played Monopoly. And the reason that we're promoting this is because obviously the more that we can get people on board with this, the better our pricing can get. So ergo, the more money we can put in your pocket, as well as getting it dropped to ship, as quickly as we can. And the quickest I've seen, honestly, is us getting a server ordered, built, and shipped within 8 days. We're able to get it to the customer within 8 days. And this kind of shows you that advantage on the internal, kind of behind the curtain on how it works and why it's so beneficial, is because if you do Top Choice, you're able to just skip. You don't have to worry about our supply chain and worrying about procurement analysis and capacity and this, that, and the other, and all that logistical nightmares type stuff. You, again, just get straight to the front of the line, kind of like was it the Disney Fast Pass or anything like that. So This is something that we're extremely extremely hopeful will take off. We've been working with it. North America's had it for quite some time, but without our partners' support and help, we won't be able to even deliver better lead times like we're already currently providing. And then last but not least, if you're not familiar with LPH, please check it out. We have programs and training. We've got our marketing. We've got our products and services and solutions, profile maintenance, all of our promotions. So like mission acquisition, if you aren't familiar with that, it is our customer acquisition. So if a customer hasn't spent within the past 3 years with Lenovo ISG, they're given 10% off. And then after that, it's called Mission Acquisition Plus, which after the following 6 months, they get another 5% off on top of that. And so all of that is directly built into the business platform, or LBP, and Ingram's business specialists are aware of it. If you're not aware of it, please reach out to us. I can drop my email in the chat to make sure that you have the contacts, so that we can get you the best pricing and best product available. And that is it. Pratik, any questions in the chat?
Yep, a couple of them.
Okay.
The first one is, the comment basically, but it says 8 days is phenomenal with top choice. So, but I think that's not uncommon. I've seen that as a norm more than anything else. But I just wondered if you had any comments on that before I get to my other question.
No, I think that the norm, right, is going to be that 15. We're pushing for it to be 10, to be quite honest. That is going to be. It's going to take some time, to be completely candid with everybody, but that's also why we need your support, and why how we looked at it is we didn't want to put every single option on there, and so it takes what's blue or green, and if you look in DCSC, if you're logged in, you can see our supply status. And so if we have it at Monterey, we want to make sure that we're buying stuff and offering products that our customers and our channel partners want, right? We're probably not gonna have some obscure GPU or some crazy 86 core processor on there, just because most of our customers don't see that. Even the other day, we had a global customer who was able to use top choice. So it's good for any segment. It's good for any market. We're steadily pushing to increase it, but would appreciate everybody's support with that.
Okay. And then the other question was, you kind of mentioned vendor agnostic drives. Could you kind of
Yep.
give a little bit more detail on that?
Yeah. So vendor agnostic drives, like I said, it's previously mentioned, or previously called multi-vendor, and so what that is it is how we work behind the scenes to ensure that we have a drive. They've all met the minimum requirements that we have, whether it's for performance, whether it's the power, etc. And so take, for example, we're to use a 1.92 terabyte read intensive drive, like a SATA SSD. Nothing crazy, but we might have the branded drive. So you might have your Samsung, Micron, Intel, or whomever it might be, Hynix. But then we would have that vendor agnostic one. And so whichever one we have available of those, or maybe another one, we're able to plug that one in and offer you the best price on that one. And so it just looks at them and says, hey, if you're comfortable just having a drive, which the feedback that we've gotten from most people is generally there isn't a concern about drives. They're happy going this route. And so we're able to provide better lead times and better pricing on that. The other thing is there have been some concerns about, hey, the interoperability of these. Can I stick one of these vendor agnostic drives with the Samsung and at this and that? Yes. To the short answer, yes. There is no problem doing that. We haven't seen a problem, and we've had these multi-vendor or vendor agnostic drives now for as long as I can recall. So you can mix them. There's not going to be an issue with that.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Thank you, George. This was a great session. Just from the feedback I see, everything, I think the messaging that was provided, information was, spot on. So I appreciate that, really. So my call to action really here is, what you need to do is, connect with us. If you want to follow up on this session, learn more about any of the V4s or storage or any other, solution that's out there. You can actually book a hands-on product demo. You can actually take a tour of the Lenovo Xvantage page. And if you don't know what Xvantage is, reach out to me. You know, you have my contact right in this chat, so definitely reach out to me and I can give you a tour of the platform, you know, or you can even schedule a, you know, custom solutions discussion with our technical team. And the way I always say it is, you know, all you really need is that one simple email, lenovo.servers@ingrammicro.com. And, you know, that'll get you access to everything you need. And finally, a huge thank you to all of you for joining this Tech Talk and really making this whole series such a success. We'll see you next time. Make it a terrific Tuesday. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks, Pratik. Thank you, Aaron.
Bye.